Is this making sense? Come on, Max, challenge me on this. Throw something at me.
The bridge was built on.
It was built wrong, yeah. They didn't expect, they never expected. You ever see the Monty Python? No one expected the Spanish Inquisition. They didn't expect that situation to happen. They should have. It would have, you know, but it was poor engineering. But it's still amazing to see this massive structure with, you know, cables this big around that were supporting this suspension bridge collapsing from wind. Just from, you know, a gust of wind caused it to start falling apart. So it is pretty fascinating. Yes, sir.
Has this class had the WorldCom case yet? You finished with it?
No, we're not finished.
Oh, but you read it?
Yeah.
You read the case? I mean, think about Bernie Evers. Taught Bible school. Yet he even saw himself as the meanest SOB around. And you all know the outcome of WorldCom. A lack of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
A lack of knowing his values and living them out.
Or I wouldn't even say, I would almost argue that it was he may have known his values, but he was willing to violate them. And I think that's where it becomes most destructive. When we willingly, when we have gone to the process of saying, yep, this is who I am, and I know who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am, and then I choose to act differently, that's the biggest, you know, when I'm losing sleep at night, for something I've done, it's always when I just didn't go the extra mile of doing what I knew was right. Yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying, like on the handout, for integrity, like the part like the wisdom to know truth, like that's obvious. Right. But like the second part, I think is like the most important, like the strength to defend it.
Right.
And I think when somebody stands up for like what they believe, like everyone kind of stops and looks at them. It's like a lot of times you don't see that very often. It's like when people make a decision to defend what they value, it's obvious.
The other thing that's interesting, and this was in the last class I was talking to, is what happens when you change your mind? Facts reveal themselves that change the truth for you. In politics, we accuse our politicians of flip-flopping because, you know, or vacillating, whatever it is, because they don't stick with a position. Sometimes it's because they are purely pandering, and I think a lot of people in politics are all about maintaining power. I think there are people in politics who genuinely see the light of truth and say, oh, I've been defending a position for years, and now it's wrong. Yeah?
Because they're too worried about the way the public perceives them. They think that they need to stick to an idea so that they don't get called, you know, offensive or something like that, or somebody flip-flopping back and forth.
Right.
And that's one of the problems with politics, is that they're too interested in the way the public perceives them as to, you know, what they should actually be doing in the long run.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting, my son is named for a guy named, my son's name is Max, but he's named for a guy named Michael Collins. And Michael Collins was an Irish revolutionary. And he was one of these guys who, during the Easter Uprising, he had fought, went to jail, got out of jail, was one of the creators of a lot of the revolutionary organizations, national organizations that eventually threw the British out. And you know, his biographer called him the man who made Ireland. Whether he was or wasn't, I don't know. He's a really compelling character. But one of the things he had said all through his life, it was a very short life, he was assassinated when he was 32 years old. But he had said he was fighting for an Irish republic. But when he went and led the negotiations to end the war with the British, he couldn't get their republic. He was head of intelligence, so he knew what the British were willing to give. And he realized that the truth he was fighting for wasn't tangible. That if he stuck to what he said was the truth and kept fighting for and negotiating for the republic, the war would continue and a lot of innocent people would die. So he said, this is a stepping stone. We're going to go take what they call the Free State, which was a compromise that the hardline Republicans and the Irish organization, hated. And there ended up being a civil war over it, and he was assassinated. And people accused him of having no integrity because he changed his position. But what it really was a reflection of was an acknowledgement, a recognition that he had been looking at the problem only from this angle. And he failed to see that if he looked at it completely, if he looked at the problem from all angles, that the truth was different than he had thought it was. And so his willingness, which is a rarity in politics, he changed his position and defended it, and it cost him his life. But at the end of the day, it got him what he wanted, which was, his free Ireland. And, history is full of examples like that. And what we need to do is look at our own decisions and figure out, are there times when we're looking at a problem in such a way that we're only seeing what we think is the truth?